The chimes on the organ are located down on this section of pistons underneath the grate manual. It's a very beautiful chime. Very, very beautiful at Christmas time. If you just strike the key, they will dampen fairly quickly. If you hold the key down, it sustains longer. This too has a little dot above it, which means it has an alternate voice. The alternate voice here is the harp. Now, if you've been experimenting with the organ and have tried different voice palettes, you're wondering, how do I get back to the default position where the names of the stops are playing what they say? Right next to the cancel button, the very next button is called default stops. At any point, even after a preset you're used that may have them in, by hitting the default stops, it automatically takes all the stops back to their default position. So if you have got the French horn on instead of the trumpet and several others, when you get done playing and cancel your presets, then just hit default stops and you know that everything is back to the default. It's a good idea to get in the habit of doing that after you canceled. That way, for instance, if you're wanted to add a soft 32-foot bourdon at the end of the piece, you know that you're not going to get the big 32-foot bombard, for instance. Or you think you're going to play the chimes and it plays the harp. The default stops is a big help there. Also located on this is the MIDI section to the organ. This organ is capable of adding a MIDI unit. You can use your own MIDI unit for different orchestral sounds or additional organ stop sounds, and these are located two for the grate, one MIDI stop for the swell, and one for the pedal. Those are right next to the bass coupler. Memory 1 and Memory 2 come preset from the factory, as I mentioned earlier. These are suggested settings, Memory 1 for hymns and Memory 2 for prelude or postlude. This gets your appetite whet for some of the different variations that you can use in the organ. Let's experiment with some different suggested registrations that you might use in a prelude setting. For instance, we could have a flute celeste and maybe the soft bourdon do for our accompaniment. And then on the swell, we could select a different setting. Maybe you'd like to add a tremolo. There's a tremulant for each manual, one for the swell and one for the grate. Or a different combination might be 8/4 and 2-foot flute. Say, well, I'd like a little more accompaniment in that. What could I add? The alternate to that 4-foot Spitz flute give us that Unda Morris, which is a very nice soft celeste. But we need more in the pedal. One of the things we could do is take the grate to pedal 8-foot, which would bring our stops down from the grate and give us that same celeste sound in the pedals, and maybe we would want to add another 16-foot for more weight. If you're happy with that sound, again, we'll select an empty memory bank, hold set, and store it into a preset. And there you have your first preset for your prelude for Sunday. Let's explore some different options. Let's say that we want our accompaniment up on the swell. We could pick the viola celeste. We'll couple the swell to pedal down so that we have that celeste pedal in the perhaps we'd like to use the 8-foots in the great as the solo here. Say, well, I'd like a little more in the accompaniment. We could add our 4-foot muted viola. If we wanted something a little lighter in the great, we could use just the flutes and maybe add a tremulant to that. We're happy with that sound. We take, again, hold set, store it in a preset, then it's there ready for you for sacrament meeting.